right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Congrats on your acceptance into the class of 2026, and welcome to Gettysburg College. Thank you for taking some time out of your evening to learn a little bit more about the management and economics departments here at Gettysburg. Tonight, I am joined by a couple of wonderful faculty and students. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a minute to introduce themselves before we get started. And my name is Rachel Rollins. I am one of the admissions counselors here at Gettysburg College. So we'll turn it over to Heather first and just go on down the line.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Odle-Dusseau. I'm a professor of management, as well as the current department chair of the management department and also the Levan chair of ethics and management. And so excited to have you all here tonight. I'll turn it over to one of our management students, Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren. I am a junior here at Gettysburg, and I am a business organization management major and a data science and political science minor.
Awesome. And I'll have Rim go ahead.
And I'm Professor Baltaduonis, Rim Baltaduonis. I'm an associate professor of economics. I'm a co-chair of Gettysburg Lab for Experimental Economics, and I'm affiliated with the International and Global Studies program at Gettysburg as well. And Katie is a student in the Econ department, so I'll have her to introduce herself as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Gentile. I am a senior here at Gettysburg College. I'm an economics major and a Middle Eastern and Islamic studies minor.
Awesome. Great. So we're going to start with management. So I'm going to turn it right back over to Heather and we will get started.
All right, I'll get these slides up here. So yeah, congratulations to you all. It's really, like I said, it's really exciting to have you all here tonight. And I just want to talk a little bit about the management department's offering a major and as well as a minor. So our major is the business organizations and management major. And what we are trying to really help students kind of get a grasp on with this major is looking at how organizations both have an influence on social, political, economic, and cultural forces, as well as how they are influenced by those forces as well. In addition to those kind of more macro external influences, we also are really interested in students being able to learn about some of the inter-organizational dynamics that can go on. So how organizations, individuals in those organizations interact with one another and behave and influence one another. And in addition, then looking at how leaders, how managers within organizations can try to develop skills on critical thinking and ethical thinking when it comes to making decisions in organizations and how that impacts multiple stakeholders, not just within the organization, but within the larger communities and societies that they function within. The kind of cornerstone of this major, and it's a relatively new major, we just started offering this last year. And the cornerstone of it was really important for us to kind of build it on a critical management perspective. And critical management studies is a subset of the larger Academy of Management. And critical management scholars really focus on questioning the status quo. So beyond looking at more traditional indices of organizational successes like bottom line profits and productivity, to also consider the ethical considerations and the moral considerations of how decisions are made. As you see on the slide here, kind of the impact of businesses focuses on things like this triple bottom line, if you think about it, right? So not just thinking about shareholders, but also the stakeholders. So all those potential people that have an interest in the benefit of the organization, not just the people that make profits off of it, the shareholders, but also the employees and their families and the larger communities they exist within. Thinking about how this organizations make decisions in terms of the larger issues of globalization as well as sustainability, example, organizing for green markets. We're also really interested in looking at leadership and organized labor and how the distribution of wealth is something that organizations and businesses take a part in. And then within, again, this idea of looking at the bigger picture of community impact and society impact. So taking into account social justice issues, corporate ethics, employee motivation, employee health and well-being, things like work-family balance, your work-life balance. Those are all things that we try to interweave within our curriculum so that it's not just about bottom line profits and productivity, but all of those other important considerations that are going to really contribute towards sustainability in a variety of ways. So here you can see the curriculum, just the basic requirements that for the business organizations and management major. So you start out taking an econ class from Professor Baltaduonis' department, Econ 103, microeconomics. Then you take accounting, which is actually a mixture of both financial and managerial accounting that we've combined into one course. You then will take statistical methods, and this is a course that students work to get a C or better in to be in the major. They also will take organizational behavior usually in their second year. And then if you kind of hop down beyond that core that's listed there, we also advise students to kind of choose one of two groupings of courses. So for those students that are very interested in things like accounting and corporate finance, we recommend taking that finance and marketing group of courses. Whereas for those students that are more interested in leadership and in management and those organizational interactions, we recommend you take organization theory and then either systems thinking or decision making. And then moving into a student's junior year, oftentimes they're going to go abroad. That's something that we've been able to kind of ramp back up this year. So with some of the waning of restrictions with the pandemic. But when they go abroad in their junior year, and our major, as many majors do, works really well with students being able to go abroad. But in their junior year, they often will also take research methods, which is kind of a springboard from the statistical methods course that they take. And then they'll start also taking some of those upper level electives, and they need 3 of those total. Going into their senior year, students will take organizational ethics at 395. We also now have a new organizational or a new ethics course that was just developed this year on social justice issues that has become really popular. So we're trying to expand some of those ethics offerings for students. Students will also in their senior year take their capstone course, and there's going to be a variety of topics to choose from for their capstone course. I know I was just talking with Lauren, who's also one of my advisees, last week when she was planning for her registration, and the variety of topics that there were to choose from that were really something she was really passionate about, that she was able to get into that particular class. And then also there is a requirement of the critical action learning component. So I want to talk a little bit more about that in a second. But here you see an example of some of the electives that we offer. And so they don't just come from our department. We collaborate a lot with our friends in the economics department and have many electives from their department that will count towards this major. We also have some from sociology, some from Africana studies, as well as the women, gender, and sexuality studies program. So back to that component, the critical action learning component, and I'll have Lauren talk a little bit about this after I give a quick rundown in terms of what her experience, but essentially what we want students to do is have this experience outside of the classroom, an applied experience outside of the classroom, where they then, once they complete it, are going to reflect on that experience from that critical management perspective that I was talking about earlier. And in terms of the ways that that experience can be accomplished, it can be just simply studying abroad will meet that requirement of the experience. An internship could also count, but it could also be met through various applied projects here on campus, like an immersion project with the Center for Public Service, perhaps one of the projects with the Eisenhower Institute, another one of my advisees. That's how she has met this goal. And honestly, what I have seen as that we're really transitioning into this major is by the time students are getting to their senior year and begin to work on that reflection paper from a critical perspective, a critical management perspective, is they often have several experiences that they then kind of pick and choose from of which one they want to reflect on from that critical perspective. And Lauren, I want to turn it over to you for a minute to talk a little bit about your CAL, your critical action learning experience, and a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my sophomore year, I had an internship with a talent agency that was putting on a music festival out in Tennessee, and I was a marketing intern. And when it came to the critical management perspective that I wrote about after the internship concluded, it really aligned with a lot of what I experienced at my internship. One of the things with critical management studies is that it's taking these taken for granted assumptions about how the business world really works, how things are supposed to look. And my internship was very different from the typical corporate internship that a lot of students have. There was really no hierarchical structure. It was all about collaboration and working together. There was a lot of workplace motivation that took place. There were opportunities to get bonuses attached to the payment that you're already being made. And then there was also a strict adherence to workplace family life boundaries. We did not work on the weekends, and then often during the weeks, as it was a music festival in the music industry, those hours are very different than normal hours. And so we also had strict boundaries to make sure that we weren't being overworked and especially stressed out when the festival was taking place. It was a really great opportunity. I learned a lot about marketing, and basically through the networking and interview skills that I got through a lot of my courses here at Gettysburg, this internship actually turned into a job. And so now I'm going to graduate with 2 years of career experience under my belt, which I can thank Gettysburg for getting that sorted for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, a really great example of this CAL, of having that applied experience and being able to kind of reflect on it and analyze it from that critical perspective. And another thing that's really interesting and cool about this critical perspective is oftentimes when you start kind of peeling back the layers, Lauren had kind of a non-traditional experience, right? It wasn't a traditional business structure or traditional business organizational hierarchy structures like she was talking about. But for those types of organizations there are, when you start kind of peeling back the layers of some of the, getting at those underlying assumptions, it oftentimes allows us to identify sources of inequities within organizations. And so inequities that are linked with things like sex and gender, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, immigration status. So it's a really insightful way to kind of, I think, prepare our students to go out and kind of reach beyond some of those more traditional ways of thinking about things and really kind of put them ahead of what more traditional business programs might offer. All right, I'm trying to get here. There we go. In addition to our major, we also do offer a business minor for students who don't major with us. So we have a lot of economics majors that like to pair in their business minor here. We do have a pre-business advisor in our department, Professor Bruce, who's always willing to meet with students that are interested in the kind of this pure business fundamentals. But you see here some of the, or see the requirements for that business minor, the microeconomics, accounting, corporate finance, as well as organizational behavior and marketing. And then they get to take an elective too. So even if you don't want this major, you can still get some of those business fundamentals that are in there. And here you just see some examples of some of the organizations our students, our alums are placed in right now. And as you can see, Lauren is one of our many success stories and has already got 2 years of experience under her belt, ready to go. And I'll just end with a little picture. These are majority of our faculty at our holiday gathering that we just had. And that's the 4th floor of Glatfelter. It's a really nice place for us to gather, especially now that we've been able to gather more often, be in person more often. So, and you can see here some of the links. We do have an Instagram page and a Facebook page. So come follow us and reach out to us with any questions. I will go ahead then and turn it over to Professor Baltaduonis to talk about econ.
Thank you very much, Heather. For those who are watching us, we would like to encourage you to use our Q&A box to ask questions. We will be answering them as they come in, and then as well at the end, once we do these little presentations. So take advantage of that Q&A box. I also would like to invite you to consider very strongly to come to Gettysburg College and become our family. Management department and economics department are very interlinked. Lots of our students are taking courses together. But there are some differences. And so as much as you care about that at this point, we would be happy to clarify those today as well and answer your questions. I'm showing you my colleagues in the economics department. We are located in a separate building. We have Gettysburg Lab for Experimental Economics in that building, where we conduct laboratory experiments in economics. It's a pretty unique situation to have a specialized lab in a liberal arts college. You will not get that at many other places in Pennsylvania or even in the region. So Econ major has the following goals. We want you to understand economic theories, institutions, both at microeconomics and macroeconomics level. We want you to become able to interpret information and data, to be able to use basic econometric techniques to study economic data, to tackle some complex problems that there are out there in the world, and use the arguments that standard economic models are using. And we want you to become effective communicators using the standards of economics. So these are our goals, and they transcend the two majors that we offer, economics major, which is a Bachelor of Arts, and also mathematical economics major, which is Bachelor of Science. I'll explain shortly what the difference between those two are. And so let's dive into that. So economics major, you basically have 7 core courses. You take principles of micro, principles of macroeconomics, then you take statistics, and then after that, if you think this is your cup of tea, you take intermediate and macro and micro, and then history of economic thought and econometrics completes your core courses. After that, you are required to take 3 electives in econ. 2 of them have to be at 300 level, and capstone kind of caps the whole experience in your major. To take upper level econ courses, you will need to have your math preparation, which is satisfied either by taking 1 semester calculus, math 111, or taking a sequence of math 105 and 106. So for those who maybe want to take time to prepare a little bit better, or just maybe needs more time to get that calculus knowledge sink in, we take it over 2 semesters rather than 1. And we have both options being used quite widely. Math econ major is a little bit more extensive. It's almost double major in math and economics. So math econ has more math courses. So you will see that math preparation in this course, it's in addition to math 111, there is also math 112, 211, 212. And these are just advanced levels of mathematics where you also learn about the probability and statistics and advanced calculus. You also have 2 upper level electives, either from math or computer science. Recently, we also approved that data science 256 will count towards your elective in math econ. So it's just basically more math. So students who are interested to pursue graduate studies, for example, in economics, maybe PhD in economics, or want to go into the career path that requires rigorous sort of math and quantitative analysis, so like insurance, actuarial sciences, finance, they would pursue math econ major. In addition to 350, which is our first level of econometrics, you would also have to take Econ 352, which is advanced econometrics. So That comes basically as a replacement for one of the Econ 300 level courses. So it's 18 courses instead of 12 courses in BA Econ. And then there is a capstone, which is mathematical economics capstone. For Econ majors, you can pick from history of economic thought capstone or microeconomics capstone or macroeconomics capstone. So there is a little bit more variety to choose there from. We also have Econ Minor. So some students who, for example, major in business, organizations, and management, they may minor in Econ or vice versa. For Econ Minor, you need to take Econ 103, 104, microeconomics and macroeconomics, 2 courses from our other core course sequence, and then 2 additional courses that can be taken at other departments as well. Only 3 courses out of those can be taken with, for example, management department if you are doing the business organization and management major. So in terms of elective courses, we do offer a variety of them. Just like the management department, we have faculty that come from very different fields of interest. We do not focus on sort of like very narrow specific area in economics that we cover here at Gettysburg College. So we have professors who are interested in monetary policy, fiscal policy, economic development, in environmental economics. I personally teach energy security and energy economics, with energy field going through the transition these days, and all of us finding ways how to tackle climate change issues. So there's that offered, experimental economics, applied finance, game theory, many topics to choose from, and those classes tend to be small, so you get lots of attention from the professors. For the Math Econ degree, among the electives, you have real analysis, differential equations, probability and statistics. In computer science, you have data structures and introduction to scientific computation. So depending what your interests are, you can choose from these topics. So for example, if you go to PhD programs, you might want to go further in your math training. If you're interested in data science, maybe pursue computer science electives. And many of our majors also minor in data science minor that Gettysburg College has for a few years right now. And I'm sure the management students are adding that as well to their list. Here are a few career examples that our students end up choosing. We do have students going into really all sectors of jobs, private sector, government sector, NGO sector. I have former research assistants that worked with me that started their own businesses right after the graduation from Gettysburg College. In fact, one of my students started 3 businesses while he was working for me. So none of them survived beyond much further his graduation, but certainly was great experience. And now he is in a company that just had raised millions of dollars to develop. So had an IPO recently. For grad schools, we have students pursuing both professional degrees with law or MBA programs in mind. Others go for PhD programs in top schools in the country and around the world. And after all, when we do all our studying and analysis and work, we also do not forget to have fun and build a community. So we have all kinds of events at Econ House. I'll just mention a couple examples so you get an idea. So for example, pumpkin carving competition on Halloween is a big event. Students carve all kinds of econ themes into those pumpkins. It really amazes the creativity. We also are pretty nerdy, and we celebrate fiscal new year, which is when government starts its new fiscal cycle, which is in October. So just a couple examples for you to get a picture what we are all about. We excel as small community, getting to know each other, working together. And I want to give also Katie an opportunity to share her experience and maybe some highlights from her being a major.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, I'm a senior in the economics program here at Gettysburg. After 3 years of extreme dedication to my education, I was extended an opportunity to do the honor thesis at Gettysburg College, which was itself an honor, and I accepted it. And basically, the summer before senior year, I was working with Professor Baltaduonis trying to figure out a research question to look at for the honor thesis. And by the end of the summer, I landed on one. And throughout all of September, I decided that I'm going to make this research question an experimental research question. So I used computer code to make a game in economics, and then used Gettysburg's lab for experimental economics to get fellow students to come in and play the game that I made and give me some data. And in 2 weeks, I'm about to present that data to the board, the economics board, and hopefully they like it. I think they will. But it's all very exciting. And in doing that, I was Professor Baltaduonis' research assistant, and that itself was super rewarding. And I learned a whole lot about the experimental process, about economics, even beyond what I had already learned, and people's behavior. People can do some strange things in experiments, which was pretty interesting to see. And overall, my experience at Gettysburg was pretty great. And I don't think I would have been able to get the exact same thing anywhere else, especially because of the Gettysburg Lab for Experimental Economics and the opportunity to do experimental economics. It's not offered in many places. And so I'm very happy I came here, got to meet Professor Baltaduonis and everyone else in the economics department. And it's been a wonderful 4 years.
And I'll just add to Katie's story that she's a bit humble. She went and already presented her research in New York City a month ago with another student of ours who's doing honors thesis, which rarely happens at the Eastern Economic Association meetings where we have undergraduate sessions. The experimental work is usually left for graduate students just because how much it takes to develop those skills and just have the capacity to do that. And Katie got to present that work and was accepted very, very well. So with that, I think we are done with our presentations and sharing our experiences. We'll try to answer your questions now. I see that there are a few in Q&A. Rachel, would you like to maybe moderate and then we can...
Absolutely. So if anybody has any questions as we're continuing to answer them, definitely put them in the Q&A box. But I'm just going to go ahead and get started, and feel free to take questions as you see fit. So the first question is, Professor Baltaduonis, I know you mentioned that there are students who go on from the economics department into law school. So we have a student asking, could you discuss a business-related major that could bring you on to law school? So either or, but kind of what the path looks like for business majors or econ majors to go on to law school.
Heather, would you like to start? Because I think it's directed more towards you.
Yeah, sure. It seems like both of our majors are really good at kind of funneling students into that. So I've got three former like recent advisees who are in law school right now. So it's a very common thing. It wasn't something that I was expecting being a management professor to have that so much of a connection with law school. I was thinking more MBAs and other types of PhD programs as well. But yeah, so students have come through here with a business major, the business organization management major, and also our the previous major, organization and management studies. And I'm trying to remember, I think what really has helped them a lot is pairing it up with this interdisciplinary focus, right? So pairing it with political science, and Lauren can probably speak to this a little bit, not necessarily for law school, but has a double minor in political science as well as data science. So she can maybe even speak to some of the opportunities with that. But I definitely have seen students that have linked with political science as well as public policy, minoring or having that as like a double major as well, and even economics. So there certainly is some opportunity because of that interdisciplinary nature for students. They seem to have a really good acceptance rate. Whenever I've written letters for students in law school, they've always gotten accepted. So there seems to be a really good acceptance rate when it comes to students leaving Gettysburg College and getting into law school. I don't know if Professor Baltaduonis, you can speak more to that.
Let me just add that increasingly law schools are interdisciplinary as well. I work personally with a lot of law professors on research projects, and we have activities. In fact, tomorrow I'm giving a lecture to the law school at Columbia University in New York City on energy markets. And in the past, taught courses at George Mason Law School and University of Colorado Law School. And I just encourage you to really have that strong interdisciplinarity approach if you are thinking about the law school, because increasingly law schools want you to have some specific knowledge and strong quantitative analytical skills, as well as the passion for justice.
Awesome. And our next question is kind of asking about math prep for the econ majors. So they're asking if taking AP calculus and AP statistics will cover those math prep courses.
So if you have, and I assume this is at a grade of 5, that would carry over. So it could count towards your Econ 103 or 104, depending what you took. And then you would be able to jump right into the upper level econ courses. And we do not want you to repeat and waste your time repeating the information that you already know.
Great. And the next question, I know you mentioned that mathematical economics is definitely an intensive major. So how is that compatible with students studying abroad, and kind of what is the experience of students in that major studying abroad?
Very compatible. In fact, all programs, I would say, at Gettysburg College are very compatible with study abroad. This is where Gettysburg College excels. We are like #1 in the state, maybe #4, I think, or I think maybe even #3 in the nation. We have so many programs all over the world. Name the country. If you want to go there, we will send you there and we will find you the program. Doesn't matter the degree, doesn't matter whether you double major, because you can satisfy a lot of those requirements abroad. So mathematical economics, for example, you have to take econ and math at higher level, right? So for example, students go to Hungary, which is a very strong place for math training. Lancaster University in England is another one, top research university in UK, that you can take those upper level courses and satisfy both econ upper level and math econ courses. In general, we want you to complete core courses at Gettysburg, so we know that you have a very strong foundation, and then when you go study abroad, they know that you can build on that strong foundation. So whether it's econ with fewer courses or math econ with more courses to be completed, you can, and you must, I would say you must go abroad, because so many students, when they come back, they're like, this was really transformative experience for me, and I'm looking at the world very differently. Getting that different perspective of different educational system in a different country was very valuable. And maybe our students can also speak to that if it's true or not.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Lancaster University as an economics student, and I took 2 econ classes or 3 econ classes. I actually don't remember. No, 2. I took 2 econ classes while I was there, and yeah, I mean, it was really interesting to get a different country's perspective on things, because obviously at Gettysburg, you have, I mean, not only just American professors, obviously, but you get, you're in one spot. To go to another country and have completely new professors, completely new students talking about the same topics but from different perspectives, it was really cool. Unfortunately, I went during the fall of 2021, which was one of the COVID semesters, so it was a little messed up, but it was still really great nonetheless.
Awesome. And then this next question is, how manageable is double majoring, whether that's between majors within the departments or majors outside of those departments?
Heather, would you like to tackle that first?
Sure. So I would say that we have a good amount of double majors, and it does work really well with econ in particular because of the courses that I answered a chat earlier that was asking about our statistics course. So any students that want to double major in econ and management, any stats course that they take in one department or the other will meet both the requirements for both of those. And we have a similar agreement with the psychology department. So sometimes we'll have students that are double majoring in the management department as well as with psychology. But we also have certainly some opportunities for students who, they want to double major in management and art history. We had a student who recently graduated in that. So there's a lot of opportunity to make those really interdisciplinary connections that might not be so natural, like with economics, but at the same time really provide an even broader kind of perspective when you start seeing the links that can be made between something like management with art history for students that are really interested in some of those particular topics. So we certainly encourage that, especially, and also with the minors as well. So it's certainly easy to work out here. It's something we really try to work with students to do, like with going abroad, to make it work for you.
I'm surprised sometimes how many students are double majoring, and not just double majoring, but also on top of that, having a minor or 2. So that happens because at liberal arts, right? So a lot of that is interdisciplinary, and there are many majors that draw on that interdisciplinarity. And so those requirements will satisfy towards one major or another and additional minors. So it's a very frequent occurrence at Gettysburg College. And I will just second Heather that we have a very diverse double major pool where econ is combined with international and global studies, with political science, with arts, with natural sciences, with physics, environmental studies, health studies. I mean, you really have to look hard and not find a student who had a sort of different combination for double majoring. And if not double majoring, then majoring and minoring in different programs. And since you need to take 32 courses to graduate Gettysburg College, as you can see, our majors are taking 12 or 18. So it still leaves a lot of room for you to explore other options. And very often it just adds up. It just happens to be equal to a minor after you pursued your passions.
Yep, absolutely. And the liberal arts requirements allow you to kind of cover those requirements as well as other major requirements, which makes it manageable. So another question is, could you all talk about the class sizes within your departments and kind of what the average class size is like?
Yeah, I'll take that on first. The class sizes range from the smallest ones are senior capstones or first year seminars that are capped around at 15. And some of the larger classes really don't get bigger than 20, maybe 24 for some of the methods courses. But they definitely are, quite small class sizes. Economics, I'm sure, is the same as well.
Maybe students can just from their
Yeah.
experiences
That's what I was thinking.
tell what was your average class, or what was the smallest number of students in the class, what was the largest?
Yeah, Lauren, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so I would say my smallest class, I think it was 13 or 14 people. And probably my biggest class was no more than 25. The class sizes are really small, and it really allows you to make these relationships with your professors that I feel like you can't get at a college with a lot of these bigger size classes. And it's really valuable because your professors really want you to succeed, and they provide you so many opportunities to talk with them and get to know them, share your interests. And one of my finance professors, for example, I stayed after to talk about a paper one day, and then we got into talking about what I wanted to do post-grad, and he set me up with some of his connections for marketing that he has in the business world, which is really awesome. And I don't think I would have gotten that if it were bigger class sizes. So the small classes are definitely very valuable here.
Katie, do you want to share as well your experiences?
Yeah, so within the context of economics and the economics department, I think my smallest class was probably about 8 to 10, probably about 10 people. And the largest was, no more than 25. I think that's even pushing. I think it was like 20. But as far as like Gettysburg as a whole, my smallest class was 6 students, and my largest was about 20 as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. And both Lauren and Katie really touched on the fact that that really allows you to connect with your professors and make the most out of everything in those classes. So those are all of the questions in the Q&A box. If you do have any more, definitely feel free to reach out to us. And once again, congratulations on your acceptance, and best of luck to you in your college decision-making process this spring.